Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hello friends, checking back into the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, Binance. A lot of daily bull flags still here. Trying to see some confirmation in the short term. We'll look at those in just a second. Before we get into it, just a note to current members that we had one of our beloved moderators, Beto, put out this presentation on the TD Launchpad strategy. So that is posted in the chat room if you are interested in it. Certainly very in-depth, and we appreciate all this information. I'm going to dig into it this weekend. I do not use the TD9 indicators, but I'm certainly going to read this and learn about it and get the basic understanding down. So if you are interested in that, search TD Launchpad in the chat room. So Bitcoin on the daily time frame, we're looking extremely healthy still. The pullback has been very contained. We're looking at the exponential support on the daily, not even being tested yet, and this is a bull flag pattern. So the burden of proof is on the bears to try and negate this bull flag pattern, and in order to do so, they're going to have to close a candlestick below this 12-period exponential support on the daily time frame, which has not happened. When's the last time we closed below? April 29th. So it has now been a month with that level as support, and it's not at risk at this point. Looking at it on the 4-hour time frame, we had consolidation. We are attempting to change this trend. Resistance was 87.60, and we did get up over that resistance, but not by much at all, only by $13 at this point. So we can still call that essentially a double top, and that's clear that the bears are defending there. Look on the hourly time frame and look at these upper wicks. So it's clear that as soon as the price gets near there, we're likely seeing some bots that are programmed to sell into the bid to knock the price back down. And the question is, will the buying pressure surpass the ability of the shorts and the bears to defend that resistance level? We have a couple hourly higher lows to be watching that the bulls want to maintain, ideally 86.64, 86.80. And if we hold those levels, the bulls can remain confident with exponential support on the hourly. But if we lose those levels and we break the hourly higher low pattern, then we're going to be looking back to the 4-hour time frame, and we're going to have to be watching the higher low on the 4-hour at 85.62. I've got something in my eye. So 85.62 would be the level to look at from there. And again, if we lose the 4-hour uptrend, we go back to the daily and we look at the daily exponential support. So we're going to have to see a clear bull move with sustained buying pressure over this resistance level that the bears are currently defending. So while Bitcoin has been struggling a bit at this resistance, we saw Ethereum with a clear bull break. Before we get to Ethereum, I want to touch back on a point that I've been highlighting the last couple videos. After a big bull move, 5-minute oversold the first time is a good bounce. Every time we hit 5-minute oversold from there, the bounces may get a bit weaker, and the odds increase that we need to shift our time frame to the 15-minute oversold bounces. First 15-minute oversold bounce, usually pretty good. Then the more times we see it, then we shift to the hourly. So we saw the 15-minute oversold bounces on Bitcoin follow through, and then we got a flush, and it was hourly oversold. And that was a scenario where, looking at the alert system, the oversold climaxes on the 15-minute time frame alerted 2 times. We alerted down at 85.19, and then it went all the way up to a $100 plus bounce, actually about a $80 bounce, a 1% bounce, and then no follow through. And at that point, with the lack of follow through, that's when we zoom out to the hourly time frame, and it fired again off right near the bottom, and then the real significant bounce took place. So that was a scenario where we saw all of those transformations take place. As far as in this period of consolidation over the last few days, it was the 5-minute oversold bounce that was money to start with, and then it ended up being the 15-minute, and then finally it ended up being the hourly. So here on the hourly, there's that flush, oversold for the first time since the breakout, and a V-shaped recovery of bulls significantly buying that dip. So again, that's just something to be aware of on which RSI timeframes to be looking at, and a perfect example over the last few days for Bitcoin as far as playing the zoom out game. We do it with moving averages, and now we're doing it with RSI levels as well. So Ethereum got the clear bull break, and since we've last spoken, I have added to my Ethereum position and sold a little bit of profit yesterday in the 285s on that big bull move. But this is a cup and handle pattern as far as I'm concerned. The psychology is there with the left side of resistance, the pullback. It's not a perfect cup, but we had the right side of resistance, or the right side unable to break the left side, bull flag, handle consolidation, and now the breakout. So now the bulls are patiently waiting for the Bitcoin bulls to try and get their own breakout. The ETH BTC chart is the reason that I added a lot to my Ethereum position. because I was watching the daily lower highs as we've been highlighting, and as soon as the bulls showed up significantly, we broke 3187, we broke 3277, and now our sights are set on 3487 as the key resistance level as the bulls try and see continuation here. Best case scenario is Bitcoin bulls break to higher highs over 9,000, and this chart remains bullish for Ethereum, which would have us looking for Ethereum to head up towards 300 psychological resistance. So looking at it on the weekly time frame, this ETH BTC chart is crushed. We've been beat up in a big way over the last year plus of trading, and the weekly time frame is still clearly in a downtrend. So this move after our double bottom isn't even really getting a whole lot of follow through just yet. And if the bulls can get over make that 4165, that would be the most significant event for Ethereum as far as charts and price action is concerned in 2019 if we break that level, because look at the amount of space with a lack of resistance, and that would be very significant if that were to take place. I don't anticipate it anytime soon, but it is certainly something that we are keeping an eye on. So Ethereum with the bull break, attempting to see continuation here as well, but just really trading sideways, and it's almost like they made the bull break and they looked back and saw nobody was coming with them and Bitcoin wasn't coming with them. So now they're holding up and patiently waiting for those Bitcoin bulls to try and come along for the bull ride. So 288.22 and then 300 are the levels we're going to be watching. And you can see the upper wicks here as well as Bitcoin is rejecting. Ethereum is rejecting from the 286 range under the 288 resistance. Still holding the hourly exponential support, so no major red flags. But like I said, I trimmed some of my position just to remain a bit cautious and to continue locking in some short-term gains, and that's my less aggressive style. If I were playing real aggressive in the cryptocurrency space like 2017, I'd probably be in an all-in position looking for this continuation, but that's not where I'm at. I'm playing a bit more conservative, locking in gains as I have them, and lowering my position, so I'm not really ever all in, and if I am all in, I do begin scaling out quickly to start to free up some cash and lock in some of that profit. So if we see a bear break of 280.71, that would start to shift the momentum and lose the momentum that the bulls gained from the breakout last night. And one thing that you want to note is when you look at the chart of ETH BTC or whatever pairing it is, when the chart is directly correlated to the underlying coin, like Ethereum, and it is bullish, that is a favorable scenario. So looking at it on the hourly time frame, if you overlay the ETH chart with the ETH BTC chart, they're doing the same thing. And like I said, that's ideal when you're in a bullish environment, because not only are you getting the bull action from Ethereum, but it is stronger compared to Bitcoin. So any strength in Bitcoin adds to that strength in Ethereum. Litecoin slowing down a little bit, still holding on just fine. Attempted to see some continuation and rejected the 4-hour time frame. We had resistance of 118.49. We got above it with a lack of follow through, still holding exponential support on the 4-hour after briefly losing it. That's where that hourly oversold bounce got going. And it looks like Litecoin is patiently waiting for the Bitcoin bulls to try and break. 122 is the resistance. If the bulls are able to break 122 on Litecoin, next resistance is 126.69 and 127.95. So some upper 120s will be the next target, and trying to confirm this daily bull flag, but waiting for Bitcoin. Let's see what LTC BTC chart looks like on Coinbase. It's notable. Look at this cross, 12 and 26 period. Bull cross for the first time in a month. We had the double bottom and break of the lower highs, and looking at it on the weekly time frame, we're just looking for a weekly lower high to be set. But it is notable that Litecoin and Ethereum have been gaining on Bitcoin over the last few days. And we'll see if that keeps up. Right now, while Bitcoin is trading sideways, the mid-coin alts are seeing a good bit of bullish action. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Again, when Bitcoin's going sideways, that's when the alts can break their correlations to a certain degree and get some bullish action. And then usually when Bitcoin bulls start showing up, we see that drop off a little bit as the attention shifts back to Bitcoin. Checking in on XRP, heading up to key resistance on the daily, 479. Bulls have not broken that level yet, and that is the level of resistance to be watching. Still forming higher lows every single day for the last 5 days, so anything above 375 will be a daily higher low, keeping the bulls in control, and it's just a question of whether we can break that resistance or not, and it's probably going to be dependent on whether Bitcoin bulls can break its resistance or not. Looking at the weekly time frame, trying to see continuation, next major level would be 565 if the bulls are able to get this break. But looking at it on the daily time frame, 519 would be the next daily level of resistance to be watching. And last, we'll wrap it up with BNB. So BNB had very healthy consolidation, holding the daily 12-period exponential support yet again, but we did fail a new all-time high just now. So the question is going to be, is that going to be enough to lose the daily uptrend? If we cannot break 35.49, and we just missed by 50 cents or so, if we can't break that level and we pull back and break 30.85, that is a lower high and it would be a lower low, and that would have us zoom out to the weekly and look for a weekly higher low to form, as the last one was down at 18.30. So daily uptrend must hold, but we are in a tightening range. Let's see it on the 4-hour time frame. A little bit more choppy. I like it. Let's see. I like it for clarity on the daily chart. And it's just watching to see, can the bulls maintain the uptrend? Because if we can't, weekly consolidation will be underway. So bulls can taste it. There is clearly some bear defense. The question is, can the amount of bull volume come in and offset the resistance for Bitcoin and get a clear break? And we have to ensure follow through, because the last thing we want to see is a bull break and then the 5-minute time frame instantly pulling back $100 like we've seen a couple times. Need to see a bull break and then higher lows and higher highs over these 87.70 resistances. So that's where we stand overall, expecting to see some action in the very near-term future, whether it's today or tomorrow. I expect to see a clear, definitive bull break to confirm the daily bull flags, or a clear, definitive rejection below the low of current consolidation to tell us the bull flag is likely out the window. So keeping an eye out for that action and volume to pick up shortly, and we will check back in when that does take place. What do we got here? We're ending it with some more botanical gardens to wrap it up. Note for today is, I was reflecting back. I just ended up closing on a house today, and that comes after a whole bunch of visualization of, before playing cryptocurrency, I said, I'm going to put all my money in Ethereum and I'm going to get enough money for a down payment on a house, and it went way better than ever anticipated. But just wanted to touch a bit on positivity. Number one, visualization. I can't tell you how often I'm visualizing how I want something to play out, and then taking the steps towards making that goal reached in terms of how it actually does play out in reality. And also positivity. So positivity is certainly important. And I was just reflecting back on when I first started making videos with the Chart Guys over 4 years ago, and to see how far we've come since then with all of your support and subscribers and messages and all that interaction. But back then I was thinking, I had no idea if anybody cared what I had to say about stocks and trading. I said, yeah, I'll put out some videos and see if anybody cares about them. And when I first started, I was doing it with a Boston accent because I wasn't taking myself seriously. But it was the positive feedback from people early on that really sparked the motivation and the drive that just snowballed into this big, big community now at this point. And if I had received the opposite, and if I had received people putting me down, of course there's trolls along the way, but if people initially started putting me down and no one gave me that positive feedback, I would have stopped making videos, and I would have traded by myself, and I would have kept farming and doing my own thing, and that would have been that. So how that played out was specifically due to the positive reception that people gave me. So I think about that all the time, generally going through life, whether it's just a tiny little detail, whether it's saying a positive compliment to a stranger about, their cool earrings or whatever it is, just any little way that you can be positive, it can have an impact. The people back then who said, hey, cool video, they probably didn't know that that was providing me the motivation to continue making content to get to the point where I am now. But never knowing what little positive impact you can have on someone else's life means be as positive as you can and as helpful as you can as often as you can, and have that ripple effect out through your surroundings. That's today's note. I appreciate you listening, and we'll be back tomorrow. See you then.